Welcome back to Thompson's Coins, where today we're taking a look at a new can of Coke. I've finally got a 2 kilo butterfly coin, and I have an exciting Christmas present from both Thompson's Coins and the Australian Coin Review. So to begin with, we'll take a look at this new Cherry Coke coin. This comes to us from PAMP. For anyone that's interested in precious metals, if you're stacking gold and silver, you'll be very familiar with PAMP. They come to us all the way from Switzerland. And this is an incredibly cool presentation piece. It actually reminds me quite a lot of the innovative things that are being produced by the Perth Mint. It sort of reminds me of the SpongeBob SquarePants coin, where the presentation holder for the coin was actually a replica of his pineapple house. So having a large Coke can, I think, is very clever. And if that's not enough, the presence of a little plastic cherry when you open the lid, I think sort of sets the scene for what's to come, because I think something that's very, very unique and interesting is the capsule for the coin is actually designed to look exactly like an ice cube. And then in the center there, you have a 1 ounce silver cherry Coke. Flipping over to the obverse, you'll see a face value of $2. This is a coin issued under the government of Niue. If you've watched some of our previous videos where we've talked about the issuing of currency, you'll understand exactly why that is. Then at the bottom, you have the number. We have here 1677. I originally had a batch of these come through, and I was excited to film a video because it is such a nice presentation, and then I was completely wiped out. So understandably, there are a lot of enthusiastic Coca-Cola collectors out there, and something like this I can see makes for an absolutely perfect Christmas gift. And we're getting towards that time of the year where people are starting to get a little creative with their gift giving, and something like this I think ticks a lot of boxes. Next up, I'd already highlighted this in a video before, but I wanted to actually show you in person, because even here on this video, now that I have the coin in hand, it still won't do it justice. A 2 kilo silver coin is something, it's good. It's a sight to behold, and people that have come through the store and had a look at it and even been able to feel the weight of it, you really get develop an appreciation for the scale of it, as well as the craftsmanship that goes into depicting the butterfly design on a canvas like this. And once again, the antiqued style really lends itself nicely to creating that additional depth in the coin design. And I also like that I don't have the front and back case over the holder here, so you can really see the entirety of the design. But if you do end up with a coin like this in your collection, the box comes with extra covers that go over the packaging of the coin, so you don't accidentally have it tip out when if you're displaying it or handling your coin in the future. I also really like the style of the box as well. It sort of lends itself, again, to the scale. It feels almost like a cargo box or something like that, with the additional detail on the lid here. The two bars that run over the top. It really makes you feel like you're handling something significant and substantial, which is entirely appropriate for a 2 kilo silver coin. Okay, now moving on to the main event of the video. This is really exciting, and it's a subject that's near and dear to my heart. It's educational, it's also a bit of fun and games, which is, I think, ultimately what collecting should be all about. So I'm delighted to have been able to partner up with Australian Coin Review. For anyone that's unfamiliar, this is the longest standing physical print publication for coin collectors in Australia. And given that it was established in 1964, it's now been around for over 50 years. So it's certainly had a really, really good run. And something that, and before we start to look at the main feature for today, something that's really nice, and I've said it before, but I don't think it can be overemphasized, is that the team at the Australian Coin Review have also been digitizing previous issues of the publication. Because as you can imagine, you even see it when you handle collections in this industry. There are certain examples where things aren't incredibly well preserved and well looked after. And when you're talking about a publication that's been around for 50 years, some of those earlier issues, they're incredibly hard to get your hands on. You'd have to go to, I remember when I managed a coin store in the Melbourne CBD, we had an archive of them. And then ultimately, upon the closure of the store, they ended up being transferred to head office, and then they end up in a back room somewhere or in an archival box, and people can no longer get their hands on that information and really get a feel for what the collecting landscape was like back then. But the team at the Australian Coin Review are doing a wonderful job in ensuring that that information gets preserved, and you can access that via their online archives as well, which I think you can't undervalue that type of thing, particularly in an industry like this where knowledge is such an important aspect. Okay, now let's have an actual look at what we have here. To celebrate Christmas and what a year it's been for collectors, the Australian Coin Review have put together a collection of coin puzzles into this nifty little publication. And I think this is a type of thing that I get so fed up with, the terrible quizzes that you get in your bonbons around the Christmas table and things like that. I would highly encourage anyone with even the faintest interest in collecting, and I think this is a type of thing, a lot of the puzzles and quizzes in this book are the sort of thing that if you gather around the table for Christmas, you wheel this out, you ask a couple of questions out of it, you may be surprised, particularly if you're from a younger generation, if you're a millennial like myself, or if you're even younger, you may be shocked to learn that your parents, perhaps even your grandparents, they may actually be able to answer a number of the questions in this quiz book. And if there are questions in here, I've got to confess there are plenty of questions in this book that even I couldn't answer off the top of my head. So what that presents is a wonderful opportunity to conduct a bit of research, dust off your researcher's hat, and then do what I love doing most, going down the rabbit hole and learning more about the wonderful hobby of coin collecting. So there are plenty of questions in this book that will be really easy for a lot of people, and then there are some questions in here that may stump even the most seasoned collector in the industry. Now let's take a look at the glossary and see what you can expect when you pick up your very own edition of the collection of coin puzzles. So we have word searches, which is great for the littlies. I've got to confess, it's also one of my favorite elements of, I don't even know if you could call it a quiz, activities. Always been one of my favorite activities, word searches. I find it quite relaxing, and if you're blending that with numismatics, you can't go too far wrong with something like that. Then we have numismatic trivia, which again, fun for everyone, even people that don't know anything about coins. It's a wonderful way to kick off your journey and start to learn a little bit more. Then we have crosswords, coin Sudoku. I've got to confess, I'm absolutely hopeless with Sudoku, but I'm sure people that have that capacity will thoroughly enjoy a bit of Sudoku. Then there's a quiz, anagram, as well as a bumper quiz. Now I'll just hit you with a couple of examples of what you can expect to see in the trivia section. You've got questions such as, which animal is featured on the Canadian $1 coin, commonly known as the loonie? So it's not just specifically Australian related questions, you'll be able to broaden your horizons and learn a little bit about international coinage as well. Then we've got questions like, what does the acronym NCLT stand for? Things like these come up periodically when you're often in the industry, particularly when you're behind the counter in a shop, but it may be something that could trip up some new collectors as well as people that have been around for a little while as well. Also, just having a little peruse myself, this is the first time I actually just received the book. The delivery just turned up today, so this is my first time looking at it as well. I don't want to reveal all of the secrets of the book because you've got to get your own and then spend some time with it, but trivia that I really enjoy, things like this, that Australian coins have been minted at various locations worldwide. Below is a list of mint marks found on Australian currency over the years. Identify the mint behind each mark, and you've got a list of all different mint marks that have appeared on Australian coinage over the years. Information like that I find to be really good in terms of tidbits. I often find myself speaking with new collectors that come through the store and pointing out things like mint marks and explaining where a particular coin has been produced. Despite the fact that it would be an Australian legal tender coin, they weren't necessarily all produced in Australia. So this is a lot of fun, and like I say, if you don't have the answers to a lot of these questions, it can then serve as a great motivator for you to branch out, conduct a little bit of research, and find that information out for yourself. Now, if that wasn't exciting enough, I am delighted to be able to offer, consider it a little bit of a Christmas gift from both Thompson's Coins and the Australian Coin Review. There will be a 10% discount code if you sign up for an annual subscription for the magazine. So if you click the link in the description and use the discount code Thompson10, that will give you a 10% discount on an annual subscription to the magazine. You can also directly purchase the puzzles book. There are also a number of Christmas packs available, which will include the coin puzzles book, as well as the iconic 2024 Swan pattern crown. Now, if you've been a subscriber for a while, you would have seen that I made a big song and dance about the release of this very historically significant crown. This was actually produced by the Royal Australian Mint, and the Australian Coin Review have produced 3,000 limited edition subscriber versions of this particular crown, and that will be included in the Christmas pack. So that's something that's absolutely worth your consideration. So if you've got a friend or family member that has even the slightest interest in coin collecting, a puzzle book like this I think would provide a great deal of fun and enjoyment to them. Otherwise, you can also consider subscribing and getting regular physical installments of the magazine delivered to your house. At any rate, I think this type of thing, it really does go such a long way to making coin collecting fun again. So often we get tied up in things, missing out on hot new releases. I deal with people regularly in the store that are starting to tell me that it's just becoming a bit of a stressful thing for them. Coin collecting is not supposed to be stressful. Get yourself a coffee, sit down, do some puzzles, relax and unwind, learn a little bit more about collecting as you go, or read the latest edition of the Australian Coin Review. I'm sure you'll have a wonderful time. I've gone on long enough. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed taking a look at the new Cherry Coke coin, the 2 kilo silver butterfly, as well as hearing about this exciting offer from the Australian Coin Review. I'd like to thank them for getting in touch, because this is a type of thing that I don't need to outline that I'm quite passionate about expanding the hobby and encouraging people to get involved. So publications like this, the magazine as well as the puzzles book, I think are a really, really wonderful thing for the industry. All right, that's it for now. If you enjoy collecting the greatest hobby in the world, you can visit us here. We're at Shop 8 in the Boronia Mall, which is 50 Dorset Square in Boronia. We're open Tuesday to Friday, 10 till 4, and we're also here on Saturdays from 10 till 3. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.